there's a Final Fantasy related question that I'm willing to actually answer. Who is the strongest summon, or how you can tell if summons are stronger? Well, that would go okay. It would have to You would have to go by Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics. If you collect Pokemon cards, the first gen before 150 Pokemon Charizard was the most powerful card, right? And now it's probably one of the weakest cards because the new gens have more power than the old ones, or it depends. The same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! When Blue Eyes White Dragon was actually the strongest card because I don't count Exodia because you have to get all pieces. I'm talking about attack wise. It depends on the gen. Now for Final Fantasy games, it's totally different because it depends what quests you had to do to get the summons, and it depends on the level of the characters too. If you have a level 99 character, you have Aoife in your party. And if you reach level 99 with the set summon, you could get as strong as the second strongest summon. Like if you have Final Fantasy 7, Aoife was the weakest summon, but if you had it in, let's see, Cloud, and you leveled Cloud all the way to level 99, then that would mean that Aoife's power will probably power up to Bahamut 0 and possibly Knights of the Round. But it depends not only on level too, it depends how you get the summon, and it depends who's the strongest. The two strongest summons I know in Final Fantasy VII, if we're talking about 7, will be Knights of the Round and Bahamut 0, because you had to do extremely hard side quests to get it, and they did a lot of damage. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I was able to kill Emerald Weapon actually in Final Fantasy VII. I mean, this is the PC version. Now, in Final Fantasy VIII, I don't know really who's the strongest summon. I'd have to go with Odin because it's hard to kill Odin in Final Fantasy VIII. If I had to go of who's the strongest in Final Fantasy VIII, Gilgamesh and Odin, because they're the hardest to get. But, it really depends on the game. Something that may be super strong in one game may be super weak in another game. Say Bahamut 0 from Final Fantasy VII is the strongest, is the strongest, and the second strongest in Final Fantasy VII. It may be the weakest if they came in Final Fantasy 13, which actually didn't. It come in the Crystalia Novia Final Fantasy Type 0, which actually, in Final Fantasy Type 0, Bahamut 0 is stronger. Because it has 9999 attack, 999 defense, 999 damage to any opponent. Plus, you have to actually die to summon Bahamut 0, which was only one side quest. I don't think you get to keep Bahamut 0 with you. I think it's only summoned during that war part in Type 0. So, it's people who ask me who's the strongest summon in Final Fantasy games. There is no strongest. It's just like it is with Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It depends on the gen. It depends on the gen of who's the strongest and who's the weakest. I think for Final Fantasy VII, the two strongest are Knights of the Round and Bahamut 0. For Final Fantasy VIII, I would have to go with Odin so far because I never got to finish the game of Final Fantasy VIII because, I fucked up my first game, and hence why I'm starting over again. I glitched the game really badly because I used the PlayStation Game Shark. So I only get as far as to the Adele and the Lunatic Pandora arc. So I don't know. And for Final Fantasy 13, I don't think there's any stronger summons. To be honest, I think all the summons are completely balanced in Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 9, I have to get through, so I can't tell you what the strongest. All I gotta say is that if you're gonna match a power of all the summons in Final Fantasy games, it would have to depend on factors like if they're in the party member that level up to 99, level up to their max. Also depends on the game if they have newer summons that are 10 times stronger, or depending on the quest, or if the older summons get weaker in each game. It depends on those factors, and that will answer what's the strongest summons in Final Fantasy. Nobody really knows.